Greetings, family. Sister Shanice in the house. We are live. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me just take this off over here. Leave the meeting so that it doesn't echo back at us. So, family, how are you? Certainly hope that all is well. I hope all is absolutely fantastic, blacktastic, wherever you are. Sister Shanice in the house going to be taking you through to 10 p.m. this evening. So the doors are now open. Please share with the family. Let everyone know that we are indeed live and direct. So what I need to do is get the YouTube link and send it out to family, friends, those who might want to be watching the show so that they know how and where they can actually reach us. And as you come through the door, please welcome me. Let me know that you're in the house. Let me know that you are indeed watching the Sister Shanice show. It's been a little while, hasn't it? Because we've had a few technical challenges, but we are indeed here today. I have done a little bit of traveling, and so wasn't able to join you all last strong, but my sincere apologies for that. So here now, though, I'm really excited about getting the show on the road. Just doing a few little things in the background here. As you can see, just letting people know that we are live. Please do help me to share the word as well. We are live to the world. On the Sister Shanice show on YouTube. So yeah, let the family know. So we welcome you as you come through the door. Got a really interesting presentation lined up for you today. So please do spread the word. Let the family know that they are gonna be in for a treat tonight. Let me get this out and start sharing the information with the family. Please do bear with me as we do that. So welcome as you come through the door. Kindly do just give me a high five, give me a like. You know how we do it. Let me know you're in the house. Let me know where in the world you are tuning in and watching us from. And yeah, I welcome you as you come through the door, posting at the same time. Multitasking here, but it's all good. It's all really good stuff. So how are you, my wonderful audience? How have you been over the last strong, some say week, I say strong. How have you been? I hope it's been an absolutely fantastic, blacktastic, strong indeed. So much, as always, you know, has been happening. I had a show earlier today on the Big G Galaxy Afrika, because those of you who are regular viewers of my channel will know that I also do a radio show. And on my show, we had our brother Mama, who is a phenomenal teacher, and we were looking at melanin. And in the presentation that I've got for you today, I'm going to be dropping a nugget or two on melanin as well. I'm incorporating it into my presentation. So yeah, so I hope you, why am I not seeing the chat over here? I need to be able to see the chat because I want to know what you've got to say. Comments are not supported for the videos. This isn't private. Okay, do I need to change the settings or something? Okay, let's see what I need to do here. Change privacy settings. How do I do that? Hey, you know what's going on? I shouldn't be. Anyway, family, let me just log in differently and see if that helps. Because I want to know what you're saying in the chat. Okay, here we go. Yes, I've got the chat now. I can see that Kimani's in the house. Welcome, brother Kimani. Great to have you in the house as well. And let me just put my balls on so I can see who else we've got in the house. Hey, we've got Here Is My Story in the house. Welcome. We've got Heru in the house. Welcome. can I just check? Are you all hearing me okay? I'm not using an earpiece today. Let me, no, I'm not started sending the link out yet, but sending the link out now, because Sister Werner asking about the link. Gonna send, yeah, sending that out now. Blessings, Brother Gebra. He said, coming home soon. Medea, me fly, me reach, Medea. So all be well. Yes, I'm in the house. You are welcome to pick my brains about the Gambia. You know, just put your questions my way, and I certainly do my best to answer them. Or maybe we'll do a special show on the Gambia if that's what you would like. But please do help me to get the word out to let the family know that we are live. I'm trying to multitask here, and I've got the presentation that I'm just rearing to go. And, you know, it's a really interesting topic of conversation that we're going to be having today. It's, as all of the shows are, it's the sort of conversation that we need to be having as a family, because, you know, sometimes, you know, we get so caught up in living the day-to-day life and what's going on that, you know, we don't take time to just take some time out, stand back and have a bird's eye view, how we're doing as a community, what's impacting us as a community, you know, what we maybe need to be doing differently. You know, these are the sorts of conversations that we need to be having. And these are the sorts of, you know, reviews that we need to have as a people as well. And although I'm homing in on the African Caribbean community this evening, what I'm talking about is as relevant for the other communities, for the wider African community and all our people everywhere, as it is for the African Caribbean community in the UK. So the reason why I'm saying that it's so relevant, not just for the African Caribbean community in the UK, but for all of us as Africans, is because history has a tendency to repeat itself. And that is precisely what's happening at the moment. History is actually repeating itself. And so I'm blowing this up a bit just so that we can be aware of what's happening, because, you know, as they say, you know, we need to learn from our history, because if we don't learn from our history, then we will simply be making the same mistakes over and over again as a people. Rise up, Brother Haru. Thank you for letting me know that I'm sounding good. Rise up, Brother Kibani. Brilliant. Coming through loud and clear. Sounds clear, Gebra. Thank you so much. So my investment in the new microphone was worth it. You know, I'm not at all, well, I'm not as technical. I'm learning every day as we go along. And, you know, I thought it was the mic that needed changing. So I got that changed, and it sounds as though that has resolved the problem. Okay, I've done a little bit of posting. I hope it's enough to reach, you know, as many family members as I can, because quite often people say, oh, I didn't get the link. I didn't know how to tune in. I didn't know how to log on. I couldn't see the link. So please do share the information about how the family can actually log on to these shows. Those of you who are in, you're experts by now. Okay, well, I'm not an expert, but, you know, me, I do what I can, you know, I'm doing what I can. And I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to go over to my presentation, and all being well, you will be able to see my presentation that I'm going to be sharing with you in just a moment. Let's see. Let me go back over to the chat just for a moment or two, just see who we've got in the house. Okay, family, let me know that you're in the house. Brother Gebra, rise up. Brother Kimani, Brother Haru, rise up. Oh, Haru is watching us from Manchester. Great to know. Brother Kimani, rise up. So family, as you come through the door, I can see we've got 28 in the house at the moment. As you come through the door, just let me know where in the world you are watching us from. All righty, definitely want to know that. Hopefully we've got a global family from all over the world that's actually watching us today. Okay, as you do that, I'm going to prepare to share screen, and fingers crossed that you know, you will be able to see my screen, and you will see what I want you to see, and not all my notes and everything in the background. So let me know, okay, what you are able to see. as soon as I share with you. Rise up, family. Okay, where's my Zoom bit gone? Come back here. Hang on, how do I make you big again? Maybe it's this one here. Yes, there it is. Okay, share screen. Let's do what I need to do because we want to get this show popping as soon as possible. Okay, right. You should be able to see my screen just now. I'm going to quickly just go onto YouTube here and do a little check just to make sure that you're seeing my screen and that you're also seeing the presentation. So bear with me just 1 second here, family, as I go into my live. And yes, you can see my screen. Absolutely fantastic. So let's close this down because I don't want to get any feedback. Right, one. Fantastic. So family, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's another powerhouse presentation from Sista Shanice. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic, blacktastic presentation. I've been working on it throughout the last strong, and I'm bringing you news and information that I would really like you to share with your family and your friends, okay? But before I go into the presentation, what I really want to also make you aware of, especially those who may be visiting my channel for the first time, I want to just share with you just a little snippet of, just for you to see some of the great scholars that I've had the privilege of hosting on this platform. Some amazing, outstanding scholars, researchers, community activists, archaeologists, anthropologists, great leaders and future leaders. We have over 350 videos on this platform. You can make a whole course from some of the works here. So I want to rise up, people like Dr. Winters, who you can see has done a show called Europe Was a Black Continent. All these videos are phenomenal. Another one that he did, the origins of the foundation of Black British. We've had Dr. Rev Shock on the phone, our brother Kwame Gonza from Ghana, Pigpin from Kenya. We've had brother Kafusa. We've had our brother Franklin Jones from the Black Matrix, Dr. Marie Charles, Brother Ayo Kimani from the USA, Brother Joshua Mapongo from Zimbabwe, Paula Bina from the UK, Brother Lida Bandaka, who's done a series and continues to do a series with us on this show. Some phenomenal presenters and shows. So do check out some of those videos and, share. And for those of you who have been watching my videos, I want to thank you so much because if it wasn't for you, my wonderful audience, it would not be worthwhile. So I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for being part of my channel. We've had over 1 million views on this channel, over 1 million views. I want to thank you so much because, you're the ones who have made this possible. So thank you again. And also do remember that you can join me on Patreon as well. I've got a link to that somewhere here, so you'll see that. There's so much more, to be honest, that I would like to do on Patreon, and I'm really going to start, posting more on Patreon as well. As I was saying, I'm replacing some of my crappy equipment, so hopefully the quality is going to be much better, so that I can be pushing out more works. And if you join me on Patreon, I'll be able at some point to get a team together, and so when I come on, the team can be doing the posting and I'll be able to pay them for it. And when I come on, they can let you know that I'm live, and they can, just keep you updated with what's going on. They can help to recruit more great speakers for you so I can do more shows. It's going to be great. So please do support me if you can on Patreon for as little as £3 a month. It will go a long way towards helping to establish this platform on a level where maybe I can even have more presenters coming on and using the platform, because I have to build it up first so that people will want to come on this platform. And to those great greats among us who have already graced this really small, struggling little platform. I am honored, absolutely honored. And oh, wow, one of our great scholars who has been on this platform is none other than our brother, Dr. Kafusa. And he has a message for us here. Hear what he says.
Peace. This is Dr. Kafusa from Sa Productions. Look, if you're into African consciousness, please tune in to the Sista Shanice show and tell her that I sent you. Peace.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Dr. Kafusa. Peace and love, black at you. Family. This coming, next Saturday, the 15th of July, I am a guest on our Beloved Brothers platform. And so you can register if you go to www.sankproductions.com. Sahank Productions is spelled SAANK, Productions with a S.com. You know, usually I'm the interviewer, but on his show, I'm going to be the interviewee. He's going to be interviewing me, and he's going to be honing in on some of the works that I do and, you know, the efforts that I make to, provide us as a people here in the UK and abroad with the information and knowledge that I bring to try and free us from the bondage of mental enslavement. So to you, my beloved audience, I would be honored if you was to join me on Saturday, the 15th of July at 7 p.m. on our beloved brother, Dr. Kafusa's channel, okay? It is sankproductions.com, sahankproductions.com, SAANK productions.com. Brothers, if you can post that in the chat, that would be absolutely phenomenal. Okay, it's really important that, you know, we support each other in this journey as best that we can.
Peace. This is Dr. Kafusa from Sa Productions. Look, if you're into African consciousness, please tune in to the Sista Shanice show and tell her that I sent you. Peace.
Peace and love, black at you, my brother. So again, to all of my wonderful Patreon supporters, I thank you so much. Really appreciate your support. If you're thinking of joining me on Patreon, yes, please do. I look forward to welcoming you on board. You can just go to www.patreon.com/Sista Shanice, and you will find me there. You will also find me on the Big G Galaxy Arfiwi.net, the only de-brainwashing station. My shows are every Wednesday from 9 a.m. UK time through to 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And it's great because on those radio shows, we have phone-ins, we have discussions, we have debates and conversations, and it's always hot stuff. Today, we were talking about, there was a whole show on melanin, and we're talking about the power of melanin. So I've got a slide on that as well that I put in here, we're also in relation to melanin talking about the power of blackness, but we have some members of the community who totally object to us calling ourselves black and referring to ourselves as black. So got into a big debate as to whether or not we should be calling ourselves and defining ourselves as black or not. And we're going to continue that discussion next strong. So on the one hand, we understand the power of blackness, but then on the other hand, where the Europeans have denigrated the word black to the point where, they demonized it. And when people see black, they see the devil and all this kind of stuff. They're like, whoa, we don't want to be identifying as black. And I think that's impacting on the situation that we're facing in the UK, actually, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about much more in a little while. Okay, so as I said, I'm a radio presenter on the Big G Galaxy Arfiwi, Pan-African Center de-brainwashing station. My shows are on Wednesday and also on a Saturday, on alternate Saturdays from 10 a.m. through to 1 p.m. and on Wednesdays now from 9 a.m. through to 1 p.m. So my shows on Wednesdays have been extended for an extra hour. And you're here with me now on my YouTube channel. Thank you again. And I'm also an author, as you know, written a book called The Coconut Trees, and also a book I've written about King Offa, an Anglo-Saxon king. Talk a little bit more about that in a little while. Also, family, oh my gosh, I have been nominated. I have been nominated for an award, and I am just so honored. So to those who nominated me, thank you so much. I'm just grateful to be nominated, but if I was to win an award, wow, you know, that would be fantastic. I'd have it hanging as a picture in the background behind me. If you want to support the works that I'm doing and you would like to vote for me, then please do go to, where is the link? Okay, I will post the link in the chat, but it's a Google Forms link. I will post it in the chat, or if anyone has it and you can post it, please do. Once you go to the link, it's the Golden Lion Awards. Maybe if you Google Golden Lion Awards, it will come up. And they're about celebrating community excellence. And go to category 7. You can vote in the other categories as well, but I'm listed in category 7 under the Social Media Influencer Excellence Award. So please do go there and give me your vote. I'd be so honored and so grateful. Thank you so much in advance. Okay, so hopefully I've got a few of you in the house already, and you're ready for the pleasant presentation. If there are any challenges, please drop me a note in WhatsApp if you've got my WhatsApp so that I know. Yes, I can see mine. I can see your note. You can see my notes as well, can you? You're not meant to be seeing my notes. Drop me a line, update me, Verna, from Phenomenal Women's, and let me know if you're seeing what I've got in my green box, or if in fact you're actually still seeing, my notes, because you're not meant to be. Okay, let me go over to myself on YouTube and see what we have here. Okay, so family, I'm just, trying to do the best I can with the situation as we have it. So yeah, drop me a message, V. What's it looking like now? Are you seeing my screen? Are you seeing my slides, or are you looking at my notes? Or what are you actually looking at? Let's see, what's going on here. Okay, right, so family, yeah, okay, it's looking okay here now. I think maybe they were there at one point, but it seems to be okay now, Sister B. So yeah, drop me a note and let me know, Verna, not in the chat, on my WhatsApp. Any challenges, Sister V, if you're there, just put it in my WhatsApp. Thank you so much for that. And let me go. I'd have to stop sharing screen if I wanted to have a look in the chat. And I don't want to do that and mess things up a bit. So let's have a look. I'm coming through okay. Yeah, I'm sounding okay. Right, here we go. Let me see. I'm looking at the chat and I'm not hearing any feedback. So hopefully it's good to do that. Wow, we've got Coventry in the house. We've got London in the house. We've got Berna, Charlene, Joan, and Uriel in the house. Rise up, rise up. We've got East London in the house. Heru saying, sounding good. Thank you so much. The family is coming through. Yes, welcome Black, says Gebra. Thank you. Tuning in from Zambia. Awesome. We've got Zambia in the house. Wonderful, wonderful. And we've got Etana in the house saying, greetings, Sister Shanice. I've not been getting your notifications for a while. I know that's YouTube for you. They're trying to squash me and squeeze me out of existence. So family, apologies. But every Wednesday I am here, come rain or shine. And sometimes I put notices in the community section as well. You will get that. The boss man saying Caribbeans have bred themselves out of the UK. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There's boss. And the Jamili is saying to the boss man, exactly, the statistics are telling. Wow, you've jumped ahead of the game. You're going to see what's going on. And this is what we've got to realize. Statistics are important, but, you know, others are always analyzing the statistics. We've got to analyze the statistics as well, family, so that we know what's going on, so that we can plan ahead. Okay, greetings from Azania, South Africa. Rise up. From Azania. Oh, brothers and sisters in Azania, did you manage to get those family members out of the mines? There were some family members who were doing some artisanal mining in South Africa, and you know, it was an awful situation where, you know, they got trapped down there. There was a suspicion that someone had actually put a bomb down in a mine. I just want to quickly say about some of these mines in South Africa. You may not know, but some of these mines are tens of thousands of years old. Thousands of years old. And there's so much history to these mines. There's so much that's yet to be uncovered and discovered about these mines. That's why when people find these mines and they go down there mining for gold, strangely, you know, methane gas starts coming up. There's sightings of white people dropping bombs in the mines as they drive past, because they don't want us down there. There is so much to our history that's yet to be discovered in those mines. But, you know, as our beautiful Dr. Mumbi would say, other stories for another day. Rise up, Dr. Mumbi. Sister Afrijamos in the house from Ghana. We've got the Ethiopian World Federation in the house from New York. This is absolutely beautiful. To all the family members, Natural Mystic from the UK, to all of you, great to have you. We got Brixton in the house as well. Was it? Brixton is nearly purely African, no Caribbean presence. Well, same people, but I'll tell you, that's going to change soon as well, because the trend in terms of what's happening to the Caribbean community in the UK is also very closely happening to the continental African community members as well. We're going to go into that so you can see what's actually going on. Okay, peace and love to everybody. It's a wonderful, wonderful family affair. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that because I don't want to get any feedback. And, you know, I want to make sure that all is well for the show today. Right. This is a family conversation. We need to talk about what's going on here in the UK, particularly to us as a Caribbean racial group. We are dying out. And we're going to talk about why it is we're actually dying out in the UK. And we need to be having these conversations in our family. Now, some of you might be saying, oh, what makes you think that, you know, you're in any position to be analyzing any statistics and to be talking to us about what's going on in the Caribbean community? Well, I just me, you know, but I am proud to say that I am a graduate of Dr. Clyde Winter's Afrocentric Researcher program, and that was a program which was dealing with Afrocentrism, and we were being schooled to actually look at research from an Africological perspective, and so, you know, we were looking at African Asian civilizations. We were looking at research from a number of different disciplines and perspectives. And then as part of the program, we had to be articulating that history and the works. And, you know, it was a university graduate level program, a very intensive Afrocentrism program. And so I did that under Dr. Clyde Winters back in 2022. And I was sharing with you all as I was doing the program. And it has really helped to groom, you know, my skills and to help me to become, you know, a better researcher and also to be able to research from an Afrocentric social science perspective. So, you know, you could call those of us that have graduated on his program and the new Afrocentric Social Science School of Researchers. And we are interpreting our history very differently from the mainstream and very differently from many of our brothers and sisters who have been schooled via the mainstream and tend to see our history just through the lenses of us being former slaves. No, no, no. That was just that era of our enslavement was like a drop in the ocean compared to the extent of our history. And I'll be touching on a little bit of that as well. So Dr. Clive Winters' program was a major influence on how I structure my works and how I validate the research that I'm looking into. So, you know, I've got that behind me. And of course, I've, you know, in my own university studies, I've done research work and stuff like that. So, and, you know, we just go on and got you under the best I can. But, you know, we're here to talk, we're here to share with each other. And so, you know, on his program, we were building new knowledge in the field of African history, complementing the work that was out there that our giants in the disciplines had already done. And, you know, we're moving forward in leaps and bounds now as, you know, African researchers. And so I want to rise up all those great African Americans, the founding fathers of Afrocentrism, who are the forerunners to the works that, you know, we are doing today. We know a lot about our history, thanks to, you know, almost 200 years of hard works, primarily from African Americans, but also, you know, by Africans on the continent, Africans in the Caribbean, and Africans in the diaspora have also contributed significantly towards acquiring the knowledge that we have today about our history. But there's so much more to our history, family. And just also to say that when I was on the Dr. Winters' course and I was learning and I was doing the research and I was, you know, analyzing and critiquing data and stuff, I came across King Offa. His name came up in the works of Dr. Marie Charles. She did this presentation and she mentioned King Offa, who was an Anglo-Saxon king. I'm like, weird. You mean to say there were African Anglo-Saxon kings in England, and I went through school, college, and university and didn't even hear of him? Family, when I started doing the research, he was one of a line of kings. But anyway, I've honed in on King Offa and I've put his story in a book. And the book is called A Black King of Anglo-Saxon England. And it's from the era of 767. I can't see it so well here. So you'll have to get the book I've got a copy around here somewhere as well. But yeah, you'll have to get the book. Oh my days. Family, there's so much of our history that has been hidden from us. But once you start doing the research from an Afrocentric perspective, you start to uncover all of this hidden information. That book, by the way, is available on Amazon, and that's the short URL underneath the book title there. So to those who already have it, rise up yourself. Thank you so much for your support. Much appreciate love. So some of our people might say, oh, history, oh, what's the relevance of our history? It's not important. Why is knowledge of our history important? Well, you know, education is key. It's the foundation for giving a person the confidence in who they are, you know, irrespective of your race. And so if you're not given a racial affirming education, but you're getting a colonial education, the outcome is you will hate your Africanness. You will hate the African image. You will not have any love for yourself because the education that you have been given is designed to make you hate yourself. I know some of you are going to be saying, no, I don't hate myself. Maybe that's because you know who you are. But the reality is that the colonial education or the post-colonial education that the vast majority of us are actually getting from the mainstream system is such that is making many of our people hate the skin that they're in. So why is knowledge of our history important? Well, let's, in the words of the late great Carter G. Woodson, talk about why it's important. He says, the same educational process which inspires and stimulates the oppressor with the thought that he is everything and had accomplished everything worthwhile, depresses and crushes at the same time the spark of genius in the African by making him feel that his race does not amount to much and never will measure up to the standards of other peoples. The African, thus educated under a neo-colonial education system, is a hopeless liability of the race. Wow, wow, wow. How true is that statement? You know, we go through an education system, and just imagine that the education system that we're going through is crushing us, is depressing us, is making us feel that we're less than, is making us feel as though we're worthless, is making us feel as though we haven't achieved anything. So Carter G. Woodson, he was actually arguing that a real education is supposed to inspire individuals. It's supposed to inspire us to want to be all that we can be. It's supposed to enable us to know our potential and to become something abundant and constructive in life. But if we look across our communities and if we look to see where we are as a people, are we living to our full potential? Are we being all that we can be? Have we been educated and given the confidence to go out there and conquer the world? Or is it that Africans globally are actually receiving a Eurocentric education, which is crushing us? And what are the implications of this crushing? Wow, wow, wow. What have we developed within the Eurocentric educational construct is a new African personality, one that has an inferiority complex. Hence why knowledge of our African history, hence why us teaching ourselves is so, so important, because what the Eurocentric education has done to us is given us a new personality, an African personality of inferiority. And this inferiority complex is not new. It's a complex that has been impacting on us throughout our history. And what this history shows us is that those of us with an inferiority complex tend to adopt the same kind of strategies to try and, elevate ourselves in society. And we think that what we need to elevate ourselves in society is to marry outside of our race, or to date outside of our race, or to shun our race, or to bleach our skins, So there are some really deep-rooted, serious implications of a Eurocentric education that is crushing us as Africans. The consequences and the actions that some of us are taking, so that we can elevate ourselves in society, is causing a lot of the problems that we're facing today. So history, I said, repeats itself. Back in the days maybe of the Moors, the Moors maybe looked in the mirror and as exuberant as they were and as great as they were, such was their level of insecurity that, they were multiplying at such a rate outside of their race. They've created a whole new race in North Africa that call themselves Arabs, who look down on the race of their fathers. They also created a new race in the region of the Mediterranean area, new races in the area of the so-called Middle East, in Spain. Our people, we are the ones who are responsible, for all these mixed race people who go by so many different names today. We as Africans are responsible, because it seems that too many of our people don't like the image of themselves that we see in the mirror, and it's having catastrophic implications and consequences, because that new race of mixed race people who call themselves Arabs, they don't see themselves as Africans. Fine if they was to see themselves as Africans, but they see themselves as Arabs. And for 1,500 years, they enslaved their African forefathers, the descendants of their African forefathers. They enslaved us for 1,500 years. And then they went on to teach the Europeans how to enslave us. And we were enslaved for a further 500 years. So there are consequences for our actions. There are consequences of creating new races of people who don't like their fathers, who don't like the black that's in them. There are major consequences, and we have to make sure that history doesn't repeat itself, and we're not creating new races that hate the black in their skin to the extent that they're prepared to enslave and treat their black mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters in such appalling way. We see what's happening in Tunisia. We see what's happening in Egypt. We see what's happening in the Middle East. We are being genocided out on a scale that is unimaginable. The killings, the murders, the drownings in sea, the deliberate attempts to, get rid of us as a people and to reduce our population, it's happening on a daily basis on a multiplicity of levels. But today I'm homing in on us, actually being responsible and being complicit in our own genocide. What do I mean? What am I talking about, us being complicit in our genocide? Let me go over to the next slide. Now, we have a situation in the UK where many of our entertainers, many of our footballers, many of our so-called, greats who are put on the television, who we're supposed to be looking up to as great African men or women, what we're seeing is that they are dating outside of their race. What we are seeing is the effects of a damaged mindset, a Eurocentric education that has confused some of our brothers and some of our sisters to such an extent that they are embarrassed about their race. They are embarrassed to have someone who looks like them on their arm. And they feel that in order to move up in society, they have to marry outside of their race. And this is particularly happening in the UK to those of African Caribbean, but also now increasingly to those from continental African as well. They want to whiten their offsprings. They don't want to have children who look like them, like the beautiful, handsome, wonderful men that they are. They don't see that when they look in the mirror. They believe that there's nothing good about their race, and so they date outside of their race. They have been indoctrinated with a mind to self-hate. And we know that's happening. Everything white is right. Everything black is demonized. It's the devil. It's awful. But, at one time, black was revered. At one time, everything black was, celebrated and elevated. It's only because the Europeans have got the power today and they're controlling the education why they're making us believe that we are less than, never have been, never will be. If we understood our power, if we knew our greatness, if we knew who we were as a people, we would not be dating outside of our race. We would not be paying any attention to the mainstream media. But the mainstream media has waged a war against us in the UK, and they're targeting the minds of our children. They're targeting the minds of our people. When you turn on the television, these are the images you see every time you see a black man in a film, in a movie, in a play. Their partner is always of a different nationality. You hardly ever see a decent black family being portrayed on the television. And this has been happening now for decades. And the impact of this is having such a profound impact on our community. You're going to see from the statistics what's actually happening. The mainstream media, the newspapers, the television, the education system are waging a war against the African family unit. And it looks as though we have started to succumb to that war now, people, to the point now we are participating in our own demise. We are breeding ourselves out of existence in the UK. We are genociding ourselves out. Wow, wow, wow. Here is an image of a beloved young African, and his name is Louis Saha, and he's a skillful top player. He was playing for Man United. He spent over 14 seasons in the Premier League, made huge amounts of money. And, you know, there he is with a picture of who was then his wife, but is now his ex-wife. And when he was interviewed about his divorce and bankruptcy and more, he said, "We live in a sad world. From what I have seen," so, you know, his outlook is, you know, among his footballer friends who are all dating outside of their, not all, you know, you've got the one or two that don't. But he's saying, for what I can see, and I have seen a lot of footballers' wives leave after the end of their husbands' careers, and I am one of them. Wow, wow, wow. So what we have is a situation when the going's good. Oh, you know, the so-called pretty blonde, you know, is on the arm of the brother. But as soon as his football career is over, they are gone and they're taking half of what he's got left with them as well. And so what we're seeing is, you know, a lot of divorces, which can be very costly for our celebrity entertainers, musicians, rappers, and all of, you know, our well-to-do brothers. And the other painful thing is that most of us don't consider the economic consequences of dating outside of our race. Because obviously what happens is when you make a family with someone outside of your race and you divorce, then half of your wealth goes to that person, their family, and their community. And, you know, throughout your successful career, you are spending in their community as well. And then you look back to your own community and you're wondering why your own community isn't being developed. That's because you, with all of your millions, with all of your wealth, you're not investing in your community when you ought to be, you know. And then we also need to be asking ourselves, you know, are we really in our right mind? You know, why is it that we as a people, you know, are looking to date and to prosper those who whose ancestors were responsible for our enslavement, for the lynchings, the whipping, the buggering, the rapes, the beatings, the enslavement, for demonizing us as a people? Are we in our right minds, you know, to still be looking outside of our race for love when we should be looking to building up our race? It's the miseducation. It must be, you know, the indoctrination, you know, the mindset now that it says that we're not good enough. We're free to make the right choices, but we're not. And I love this quote by Girish Dooley, who says, choices have consequences, and they really, really do. Choices do have consequences. And that's why we've got to take control and responsibility for our education. Because, you know, if we don't, then those who have the wealth and the potential to transform our community are going to continue not transforming our community, but transforming the communities of others who don't look like us, don't like us. And then we wonder why we're economically deprived as a community. And so, you know, we have a situation where 1 in 10 children now in the UK lives in a mixed race family. This was the result of a major study. Mixed race relationships are now so common that some ethnic groups, starting with the African Caribbean, it is said, will virtually disappear. This was the big headlines in the Guardian newspaper. I've got the clips. I'm going to be coming to it quite soon. Why do our brothers not want to produce children that look like them? You know, what is going on? If we look at the statistics, if we look at the reports over the last 60 years during my lifetime and in recent times, the Jamaican UK population which is largely responsible for the vibrancy and the wonderful music and the hardworking ethics and the entertainment and the life and the energy that our parents brought to this country. They came here for a better life for themselves and a better life for their children, and they had children who looked like them. But those of us who have gone through the Eurocentric education now, we are departing from that Caribbean tradition, so much so that our numbers are shrinking and dying out in the UK, and because we're not reproducing in our own image. And the same thing we did in North Africa is the same thing that we're doing here in the UK as well. And what's really tragic is that our parents, they didn't realize when they came here in the 50s and 60s, and most of us still don't realize unless we're doing the research or unless, we're plugged into some of our great Afrocentric researchers, we didn't realize that we were actually coming back home. We are the descendants of the original people from Europe and this part of the world, the original people of England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, who were partly genocided out, and those of us that weren't genocided out were shipped out to the Caribbean, Jamaica, Montserrat, and other Caribbean islands, and the Americas. We have discovered and uncovered from studying our history that we were the ones, our ancestors, our forefathers, our great-great-great-grandparents, great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, many of them were from England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. I actually did a research that honed in on Ireland, and wow, that, I won't have time to go into that today, but I do have it for a presentation at a later date. And family, we were returning home. Spiritually, our people were being spiritually led to return. And they came back. And now we have uncovered the fact that, we were the original people of these lands, and we were driven out. Our lands were taken, our names were taken, our wealth and our heritage was stolen as well. Oh my days. And we are here, and we should have been multiplying in numbers, reproducing in our image so that we could take back that which belongs to us. But this is the way that we're going, family. And so, that spiritual move that was happening ahead of us, that we weren't in tune to, that was happening at such a time as this, now seems to be disappearing. The opportunity seems to be disappearing. But can we reverse the trend? We must reverse the trend. Our beloved John Henry Clarke says, to control a people, you must first control what they think about themselves and their history, what they think about themselves and how they regard their history and culture. And when your conqueror makes you ashamed of your culture and your history, he needs no prison walls and no chains to hold you in. Wow, wow, wow. Such is the power of the indoctrination. Our enemies, our adversaries, those who don't look like us, don't like us, realize that if they can control our mind, if they can control how we see ourselves, if they can control what we see of our history and hide our great history from us, if they can make us adopt their culture and be ashamed of our own culture, then we are basically like robots with a white mind. And these robots with a white mind, they've realized, will like what they like, will want to have what they want to have, and will not like what they don't like. We will be walking caricatures of them. We will be mirroring them, and we would have lost our identity and who we are as a people. And this is what they have done. They've made us ashamed of who we are. They've made us ashamed of our culture, ashamed of our history, because they have hidden our history from us. But if we knew our history, if we knew how great we were as a people family, we'd be holding our head high. We would only want someone who looks like us on our arm. But what's happening? What's happening? This is what The Guardian revealed back in 2009 after the census. It said that some ethnic groups will disappear. And at that time, some of us might be thinking, yeah, really? Family, it's happening, it's happening. I've been looking at the 2021 census and I've been doing an analysis of it. And the groups that are most likely to contain people in an inter-ethnic relationship were whites and Black Caribbean. And we are genociding ourselves out. These groups have a much younger age profile. What does that mean? It means that we're not reproducing in Black households, we're reproducing in non-Black households, and we are building another ethnic group. It wouldn't be so bad if that new ethnic group were identifying as Black. You know, a few of them do, but the vast majority don't. And we need to learn from history what the implications of that potentially is. So if you want to have a look at the statistics, go to the race disparity report, go to the 2011 census, go to earlier censuses and more recent ones and do the comparisons and check out what The Guardian was saying here. It's saying 1 in 10 children in the UK now live in a mixed race family, a major study reveals. And they're saying it's raising hopes of a non-racist Britain, but what they really mean is it's raising hopes that we will no longer exist in Britain. They're saying mixed race relationships are now so common that some ethnic groups, starting with the African Caribbean, will virtually disappear. The research states young people are 6 times more likely. You see, they target our young people anytime they want to bring and introduce something, you know, that's against our culture, that's going to undermine us as a people. They start with the young. They get to the minds of the young people. And this is what they've been doing for the last 40 years, get into the minds of our young people so that they hate themselves and that they love, you know, those who don't look like them, don't like them. And, you know, anyway, we're destined to disappear, it says. This is what they're predicting. This is what the research and the stats are actually saying. It's saying that young people are 6 times more likely to be in a mixed race, likely to be mixed race as adults. Experts believe the findings, which comes just days after Prince Harry was rebuked. Can you believe it? Rebuked for calling his fellow cadet a Paki, and Prince Charles was admitting to referring to an Asian friend of his as sooty, you know. So yeah, they've got all the names for us in their behind their closed doors. You know, we're not really going to know what they really think about us and how they really see us. But I have friends who have, not friends, I know people, you know, who have dated outside of their race. And may there be an argument, the first thing they're called is a Black this and a Black that. Yes, by their partners, by their husbands, by their wives. So as we're going to see from the statistics, and as has been revealed here in the rise of a mixed race Britain over the last 14 years, we're going to see that the number of children of Caribbean heritage with one white parent rose from 39% to 49%, compared to the Indian population, who are about race preservation. They are understand the importance of dating inside of their race. I mean, look on them men. Look at the Asian men. My family, allow me for 2 minutes. If you put an African man next to, you know, an Asian man, I mean, there's just no comparison in terms of stature and presence and image and, you know, and you know, what a man should be about. But the Asian women, they stick to their weenie beanie Asian men because they understand the importance of race preservation. Yeah. So in their population, you know, according to the statistics, the Indian population had increased. There had been an increase from 3%. But imagine at one time it was 3% when ours was 39%. It's gone up to 11%. Ours has gone up to 49%, you know, but for Pakistanis, it was from 1% to 4%. They're certainly not, you know, there's still a slight trend in that direction, but not at the scale and the level at which is happening in the Caribbean and also the Africans who come to the UK as well. So there's really something to be looked at here, family. And some more notes for you. Whilst the Caribbean race is rapidly declining, let me tell you, the largest increases and the largest number of ethnic group that's growing, is within the Asian and the Asian British community. So they are not only preserving their race, they are multiplying their race, family, which is what we ought to be doing as well. Let me see what I've got here. The largest increases were seen in the number of people who identify the ethnic group within the Asian and Asian British or Asian wealth category, from 9.3%, 5.5 million in 2021, up from 7.5 million, 7.5, which is 4.2 million in 2011. So we can see what's happening in the Asian community. Their numbers are increasing. They are having children among themselves. They're growing their community. They understand about race preservation. But here we are being complicit in our own demise, and as is being reported in The Guardian, the future looks like we will virtually disappear if Fiwimine Nashar. So a few more statistics and emerging trends for us here. We can see that in 2001, according to the census, this was the Black population of the UK as a whole. We were 4.2% of the population. In the previous slide, you know, we can see, I was saying to you that now the Pakistanis and the Asians, they've gone up from like to where we were. They are now about 4% of the population and growing. We were their family at one time. If you put together the Black, British, Caribbean and Africans, we were 4.2% of the population. 2.4 million, the size of a small African country. We were a nation within a nation, but didn't actually realize and recognize, and we don't see ourselves as such. We weren't, you know, we weren't educated in such a way that we could see ourselves as a nation within a nation. And that's how the Asians are operating. They recognize from their numbers that they are a small nation within a nation. The population of the Gambia in 2021, according to the population statistics, is just 2.64 million. In 2001, we were the size of a nation. Moving on from there, we can see that in 2001, the size of those who identified themselves as mixed race was only 1.2% of the population. By 2011, in England and Wales alone, this isn't even the whole of the UK, their population had doubled. By 2011, had doubled, and by 2021, those who are identifying themselves as mixed race had gone up to 2.9% of the total population. However, according to the official, the Office of National Statistics, they're saying that those numbers are grossly underestimated, and they believe that the numbers were actually much, much higher. So in England alone, they were saying, where we had 677 up here for the whole of the UK, they were saying it was more like 654,000, not million, sorry, 654,000, just for the UK, just for England in 2001. And by 2009, it had gone up to just under 1 million in England alone. And the real number for mixed race and those who identify as mixed race in 2011 had already hit 1 million and now exceeds 1 million. The size, as I'm saying, of a nation within a nation. And according to The Economist, who also do their own surveys as well, they're saying that in 2005, the real figure was about 3.5% of the population that were of mixed race identity. And remember, the largest group that's contributing towards the mixed race community, creating a new mixed race community, is African Caribbeans, followed by Africans. So, we need to be aware of what we're doing and what's happening. And as we are dating outside of our race and growing a mixed race community, our numbers are dying and our numbers are shrinking. But if this new race was identifying with us as the Black community, and, I'm sure all of us have got a few mixed race friends who do, which is wonderful, the vast majority do not. The vast majority then go on to date other mixed race or whites as well, because, the Black person in their life quite often doesn't like the Black, which is why they married or dated outside of their race in the first place. So if you've got a father who doesn't like the skin that he's in, how is that child going to like the skin that they're in? They're going to want to, lighten their skin as well. We can see that's happened all over Egypt as well. So as we can see here, from the census data in 2021, it looks like the Caribbean community is now only 1% of the British population. Oh my days. Fortunately, we've got our African brothers who are still 2.5% of the population. We are down to 1% of the population, Black other 0.5. Together we are just about 4%, 2, 3, 4% of the population. But as we can see, other groups are actually growing. Look at the Indians, how they're out there, multiplying among themselves, which is what we should be doing. We're living in a time, family, where we are witnessing the demise of our people. And I'm an African, okay? My parents were born in the Caribbean. I'm an African. Love my Africanness. Live half my time in Africa. But I also love the Caribbeanness in me as well. I love, my Caribbean ancestry, my Caribbean lineage, because we are a special people. Yeah, we're all special, but the Caribbeans and the Jamaicans, because it was mainly Jamaicans from the Caribbean that were here as well. Yeah, we got people from Barbados and Lucia, Antigua, and all the other Caribbean islands, but the vast majority of people from the Caribbean who came to the UK were Jamaicans, and we transformed the UK. We transformed it, family. We have a rebel soul and a rebel spirit. And if there's anything we don't like, we change it. We're not tech, not prisoner. We're not tech back, not chat. Yeah, we are a special people. And that rebelliousness, that determination that we have, family, we're going to lose that if we lose ourselves and the essence of who we are. We need to be instilling, that confidence, that greatness, the great Caribbean spirit. We need to be instilling that into our young African soldiers. We're African first, all of us first and foremost, but that Caribbeanness, we can't allow that to die. That spirit that brought us back here after 371 years since the passing of the Act for the Settlement of Ireland. That spirit that brought us back here to reclaim, that which was taken from us after the Jacobites' rebellion. That spirit that brought us here in numbers, so that we could multiply and get to know who we really are and begin to educate ourselves and reclaim what belongs to us. Family, we're losing all of that right now. We've got over here that in 2021, the white and Black Caribbeans population that we created was just over 500,000. And if you add on the white and black African population as well, that's just under 1 million. Well, 750,000 children we've brought into this world, wonderful as it is, but look at the cost, look at the consequences, yeah, to the Caribbean section over here. We are genociding ourselves out here in the UK. Wow, wow, wow. And I know the education sector has a huge role to play in all of this. In fact, you know, I did some research and I asked a question to try and find out what was going on in the education sector. I wanted to know, what is it that our people are being taught? What is it, you know, that's taking place in our society today that's making us, you know, not look in the mirror and see the beauty of our melanin and recognize and realize its greatness. And I know that to a large extent, it is this onslaught in the education sector about our time of enslavement. It's the onslaught and that slavery narrative that makes a lot of our people cringe, that makes us feel that we are less than, that we've never accomplished anything, never have done. It's this denigration of the word black. You know, they've made us feel that, you know, to be identified as black means that we are the devil in disguise, and that, you know, they've really made us hate, well, not all of us, some of us, too many of us hate ourselves. They've done a good job on us, family. So let's take a look at what's going on in the education sector, and if that is a contributory sector. Why are we complicit in our own demise? What's going on there in that sector? What is the conditioning there? You know, are we being taught about our glorious past, or are we just being taught about, you know, those wicked, awful, dreadful years of enslavement? Amos Wilson said, "The past is the future." What did he mean? He meant that we can and we should learn from the past. Because if we don't learn from the past, we're going to be making the same mistakes over and over again. It's our actions today that will determine our future. Our actions today is going to determine our future. Our actions today is going to determine the future of our children tomorrow. What sort of world do we want our children to be living in? Do we want them to be a race that is proud of their race, proud of their blackness, or do we want to genocide ourselves out of existence? What is it that we want to do? Most of us are familiar with the works of Joy DeGrudy and the post-traumatic slave syndrome. And she was saying, and she was suggesting that a great deal of work needs to be done to furnish us as Africans with the knowledge of our glorious past and who we are. You know, look at those wonderful images on my backdrop there. You know, we have to remind ourselves of our glorious past, our greatness, and who we are to counter the psychological damage that's been done by slavery and colonialism. But then we've had our great brother Franklin Jones, who has said it's not slavery that's given us that's caused the psychological damage that we're experiencing. It is the social conditioning, and it is happening by design. There's a major psyops operation that is happening right now that is conditioning our thinking and our minds, because he said, if you look back to the time when we were released from our enslavement, and when they said we need to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps, we did just that. And we created, you know, Wall Street, you know, the Black Wall Street, the one of the most richest and most famous, you know, Black places in the whole of America. And there were over 100 Black cities in America that we had created. But then, you know, the Europeans, the Caucasians, the white people started realizing how great we were actually doing and got so jealous, they came in and destroyed almost 100 African cities across America. And so we know from our history that they don't want to see us prosper, and that they will not stop to even use their own planes and bomb our cities so that they can, you know, level the playing field again and keep us where they want us, down in the dumps. But we have the potential, and we demonstrated that almost immediately after we were released from our enslavement. So, you know, what was the difference then to now? The difference then is that we weren't being miseducated and indoctrinated into believing that we were less than. We weren't being indoctrinated to hate ourselves. We weren't, you know, being given an education that was suggesting that, you know, we don't have the ability and the competency to achieve. We weren't putting our children into an education system that was just killing, you know, their seeds of greatness, that was just killing that spark of genius. We weren't doing that. But now today, we're putting our beloved children into the education sector, and they're not learning about their greatness. They're not learning about who they are. They're not learning about the value of their melanin. Instead, you know, they are being crushed, and they are being taught, you know, an education that elevates whiteness and denigrates everything black. And I want to rise up our brother Marmo, who delivered a fantastic presentation on my show earlier today, on my radio show, the Big G Galaxy Afiwi. You can pick us up on Zeno. Just go to Zeno and search for Galaxy Afiwi Radio, or you can go to www.galaxyafiwi.net and you can pick up our radio station there. We've got talk shows, we've got music shows, we've got storytelling shows. We've got a Griot Shineri on there who's about storytelling. We've got a mathematician on there who's teaching our children to become maths geniuses. We've got all sorts of shows. We've got early rising shows. We've got late night shows. So you can tune into Galaxy Afiwi at any time and catch a great show. I do a show from 9 a.m. UK time through to 1 p.m. on a Wednesday, straight after me, DJ Icon, straight after him, Ras Ezekiel, and the shows go on, you know. Sunday, if you like talk shows, from 8 a.m. you can go right through to about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, talk show after talk show after talk show after talk show. You can call in, you can have a say as well. Yeah, we talk about us, we talk about our greatness, we talk about, you know, our melanin and who we are as a people, you know, the value of our melanin. We learned today is about $459 per gram. Our melanin, this what makes this beautiful skin of ours. If we knew its greatness, oh my God, you need to check out the video by Dr. Llaila Afrika. It's called Understanding Melanin by Dr. Llaila Afrika on YouTube. We need to be teaching our children the greatness of our melanin. He was teaching us that melanin is a civilizing chemical. That's why we are so civilized. That's why we've got so much humanity as a people. That's why, you know, we can't understand those who don't look like us, because they're a different species. They haven't got the melanin that we got. He was teaching us what we're made up of as melanin people. You know, which is largely from the earth, you know, they're made up, he said, mainly of ammonia and sulfur. Those are the major ingredients in the body of a Caucasian, whereas in the body of someone with a melanin, we're made up of everything of the earth. You know, the potassium, the calcium, the vitamins, and, you know, all of the minerals that you get in the earth is in our body. That's what we are made up of. Hence why, you know, I believe we're made up of the earth as a people. And more, our melanin is everywhere. He says, well, here we go. He says it's a rhythmic chemical. That's why we've got rhythm. That's why we've got star. It's our melanin, you know, because the melanin is an energy as well that connects with the energy outside of us in the atmosphere, in the environment, the energy waves that we can't even see. And we're just on that frequency. We're on another frequency as a people, you know, but those without rhythm, those without melanin don't really have the rhythm. Those without melanin, you know, they don't have the humanizing agent to the extent that we do, so that's why they, are more, animalistic, cannibalistic in their ways and their behavior. We will never be able to understand their behavior because, they haven't got the extent of melanin that we have, which is a humanizing, civilizing agent. And so check out that video. You can learn so much about ourselves from that video. He says that they are biochemically different from us. So those of you who think we're all the same, they're not going to teach you in biology that we're not all the same. They're not going to teach you that we are the original people, and we are, as the original people, with the hue, and that gives us our humanity, are the ones that they are studying all the time. So, the melanin, we've got melanin cells, there's melanin in our brain, there's melanin in our eyes, there's melanin in the sperm that makes the baby, there's melanin, there's melanin in the universe, melanin in the soil, the same chlorophyll that gives life to the trees. Chlorophyll to the trees is what melanin is to us. We're like a different tree. We're like a tree species. The melanin gives us, that energy. And even in chemistry, they're studying our melanin particles. They're studying us in chemistry. He said it's called the electrons and the protons and the solitons and the neutrons. That's all us. That's all the melanin. And the chemistry comes from us. The word chemic, is where chemistry derives from. It's the study of us. He says melanin causes energy to spin. Melanin creates different energy force fields. Wow, if we started to study and understand and analyze who we are as a people and recognize that we are a different species, we are the original people, and we are greater than we can even begin to imagine. If we were to be taught in our schools what we were accomplishing even during the Stone Age era, the megalithic structures that we had actually put in place, we are so great as a people. We are researched extensively. They are researching us in the pharmaceuticals. Their military are researching us. Their military are paying out millions and billions for them to research how they can control our melanin, how they can manipulate our melanin. They're constantly trying to come up with medication and things to try and manipulate and control our melanin. But our melanin is so intelligent. It has such a high level of intelligence that it's like it just keeps moving. It just keeps shifting. Then come with one thing, the melanin just changed. Then come with something else, it changed again. Wow, wow, wow. It's got such a high level of intelligence. But we have choices as a people. And if we're making the wrong choices, then despite our melanin, if we're giving away our genes, if we're giving away our melanin, if we're giving away our blood, the blood that all other blood types can use, but we of their blood types can't use, if we're giving away without realizing our greatness and all of the intelligence that comes in our melanin, we're giving all the swag, we're giving all of the, the extra motion skills that we have, why we can, play football the way we do, why we, can dance the way we do. We've got another level of energy that we just take for granted, and we're giving it away all the time. And unfortunately, quite often, it's being used against us. It's being used against us as a people. And so, as Dr. Llaila tells us, our melanin enhances every organ within our body as well. Our organs are melanin enriched as well. That's why, those sick people out there who are melanin deficient always want our organs. And many of you may have seen the video that's going around, that's gone viral, about the number of African women, Black women, that are just disappearing in America. It's starting to happen here in the UK as well. There's all the talk about body parts harvesting. It's gross to even think about it. But, our melanin, our organs is just rich beyond measure. And these people are using our organs and our melanin to sustain them And we are also sustaining them and helping with their reproduction every time, you know, we reproduce outside of our race. And so I did this research on the Dr. Clyde's Afrocentric research course, and I was looking into this problem statement, which is to demonstrate that there is a void that actually exists in teaching African-centered history. Some of you on this show, you might remember, because I put out the survey and I said, click this link, do the survey, especially if you were educated in the UK. I want to know what the UK schools are actually educating our people. Am I the only one that went through school, college and university as a foundational Black Briton and didn't know anything about my history here, that we had African kings and queens here, that the original monarchies of Europe were Africans? Am I the only one that didn't know all of this? I thought, let me do the research and find out. So I was asking you to tell me, you know, about what you were being taught in the institutions that you went to, because what we do know is these educational institutions, they are long in the tooth when it comes to research. And you can't tell me that they haven't been coming across the research information that we have been uncovering on the Dr. Winter's research course, and that I continue to uncover post that course as well. So as part of the studies that I did on the Dr. Clyde Winter's Afrocentric research course, firstly, I undertook a study that sought to determine if the UK national curriculum was actually delivering what they were delivering to us as Africans in their school, colleges and universities, and whether or not it was culturally relevant to us as a people. Because, you know, essentially I wanted to ascertain the extent to which, you know, we as a people, we've been taught about our Africanness. And secondly, I did a piece of research that looked specifically into the Irish population, because I wanted to know whether or not the indigenous inhabitants of Ireland were actually dark-skinned Africans or pale-skinned Caucasians. That was a very interesting study as well. And hopefully at some point, if you'll allow me to come back, family, I will bring you the results of that study. So the study that I did, it was a mixed qualitative and quantitative research study. I used the Likert scale study to do it, and I had 100 of you wonderful, wonderful family members take part in that research. And it was, I mean, using a Likert study, it's a really powerful way of determining where people sit on the scale, because it's not just a yes, no. It's like, I'm asking you, do you strongly disagree with something? Do you agree? Or do you, are you neutral? Or, you know, so there's a whole scale, strongly disagree, and the other end, strongly agree. So I could see, you know, where people were on the scale of things. And, you know, it was a Google form that I actually used to do that survey. And the study included, as I said, 100 participants. And I was measuring the extent to which they were taught African history in their school, colleges or universities. And, you know, I sought to establish as well whether or not we actually knew about our history in Ireland, because I was doing a separate paper on Ireland. So I wanted to capture that information, but not just information. As I was doing the research, I wanted to, you know, get information more broadly as well. And so I sought to establish, you know, what you know, people were being taught, our family members were being taught, sitting down there, you know, from 9 o'clock through to 3 o'clock every day, 5 days a week, how many weeks or strongs per year for how many years of our life, you know, what was it that we were actually being taught about ourselves? And could it be that there is a correlation between what we're being taught and our race esteem? Could what we're being taught impact us to such an extent that we have a low race esteem? Could it even be impacting on our mental health? You know, wow. So 100 people participated. and organized into two groups: those who were educated in the UK and those who were educated outside of the UK. Those who were educated outside of the UK, I removed them from the population sample because I really wanted to home in on what was being taught in the UK. So I also asked as I was there, did you attend a Saturday school? Because I know that here in the UK, we have some wonderful Saturday schools. We've got a new name for them now. Brother Kwame, I think it was, or was it Nana Prophet said, we shouldn't be calling them Saturday schools. We should have another name for them. And they are, something like alternative institutions of learning, for our children. This is what we ought to be calling them. Let me just shut the door because I've got some distractions going on here, family. My apologies. I don't want you getting the distraction as well. Okay. Yeah, so 83% of those that I surveyed said that they didn't attend a Saturday school. Now, had 83% attended a Saturday school, I would have got totally different results, because what I do know is that most of these, institutes of African learning here in the UK actually teach African history to the children. And so it's such a shame, really, that so few African families actually bring their children to those African institutions of learning, because they're going to get what they don't at those institutions, what they don't get from the mainstream. And, so we really do need to value our Saturday schools a lot more, family. 83% said no, they don't send their children to those schools. And I also wanted to make sure that, the group that I was targeting were of African heritage. And so, 96.5% describe themselves as being of African heritage, and 3.5% describe themselves as being of mixed heritage. So I had, largely managed to get the group that I wanted for my survey. I actually, deliberately, circulated my questionnaires in circles where I knew I would manage to get an African audience, because, I want to know what we're thinking as a people. And I wanted to do the research on us. So instead of just asking the generic questions to determine the extent to which respondents were actually satisfied with the amount of education that African history that they received in school, as I said, they could have, quite a broad spectrum of responses. So I asked the question, were you satisfied with the amount of African history that you received about Black/Africans during the Stone Age era in school, college, and university? I asked that question because I didn't even know that we had a history in the Stone Age era. I didn't even know that we had a history there. It's only now that I'm doing the research, I'm realizing that almost all the great history of that era is African history. But they're just not telling us that. Just like, in chemistry and biology, they're studying us, but they're giving the study of our melanin all these different names so that we don't know that they're actually studying the melanin. Similarly, when they do their excavations and these archaeologists are out there, they're doing their studies and giving it all these different names so that we don't know that they're actually studying us and our history. 88.4% strongly disagreed and said that basically they were not satisfied with the amount of African history that they were taught at school, college, or university about Africans during the Stone Age era. Wow. And a further 8.1% disagreed with that statement. They could not agree that they were satisfied, they said, strongly disagreed with that statement. I asked, are you satisfied with the amount of history that you received about Africans during the Saxon era? Because as I said to you, as part of the research, I was uncovering all these huge amounts of history about us, during the 4th and through to the 7th centuries when we were here in Europe and in England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Vast amounts of history. And
I thought, why was I not taught all of this history? Was it just my schools? Nope. 90.7% of those who completed the questionnaire said that they strongly disagreed, that they could not agree with the statement that they were satisfied with the amount of history that had been taught to them about Africans during the Saxon era. And a further 7% disagreed. So 97.7% of those who were surveyed strongly disagreed with the statement about being satisfied with the amount of African history in that era. So I said, well, were you satisfied with the amount of information, history that you learned about Africans in Ireland pre-15th century in the school? Nope. 93% strongly disagreed, weren't taught anything and were not satisfied with what they were taught about us as Africans in Ireland pre-15th century. Oh, wow. And again, as I said, I've uncovered so much information about our history. I've got images, there's artifacts, there's fossil remains, there's megalithic stones with engravings on it. There's so much evidence of our history in Ireland, all of that hidden from us. So, okay, what about Scotland? We had the Picts of Scotland. There've been generations of Africans. The original people of Scotland were Africans. We've been there for tens of thousands of years. Surely you must have been taught something or quite a bit about Africans in Scotland pre-15th century. Do you agree? And are you satisfied with the amount of African history? 94.2% strongly disagreed with the statement, and a further 3.5% disagreed. They could not confirm that they were satisfied with the amount of African history that was taught to them pre-15th century in Scotland. And so what is this coming to? It's pointing to the fact that we've got all of this history that has been removed, it's been removed from the curriculum and is not being taught. We've got a wonderful history in Wales as well. The stories that exist about us as Africans who lived in this part of the world pre-15th century is phenomenal. And we are not being taught the history at all. I said, do you believe maybe that African history is deliberately being hidden from us as Africans? 83.7% strongly agreed that, and a further 8.1% agreed with the statement that they believed African history is deliberately being hidden from us as Africans. So what does that tell us? What does that tell us? We have got to do the research for ourselves. We have got to take our children to these independent institutions of learning so that they can learn about who they are as the foundational Black British. Wow, 83.7% felt that our history was deliberately being hidden from us. What are we going to do about it? And I asked a question. Do you believe that knowledge of one's great history is linked to an individual's level of confidence? I got a bit of a mixed response here, but 65.1% believe that knowledge of one's history is directly linked to one's confidence. And our greats actually believe that as well. If you remember, I said very early on that our history and knowledge of our history gives one confidence in their learning. And Carter G. Woodson was saying the same education that elevates a European is the same education that denigrates and crushes the African spirit. A further 17% agreed they felt that knowledge of one's history is really important because it's linked to an individual's level of confidence. Is this why a lot of Caribbeans who have been taught a Eurocentric education are now dating outside of their race? Because we have been, given an education that has crushed us to the point where we're lacking in confidence in who we are. If we were confident in who we are, like Asians are confident in who they are, wouldn't we be about race preservation? Wow. Then I asked the question, Do you believe that Africans would benefit from a higher level of self-esteem if an inspirational African history curriculum was being taught to them? An overwhelming 81% agreed with that statement, and a further 5.8%. Oh, they did. They're the ones. Who are the ones that did? Oh, and a further. I can't even see that, it's so small. Looks like 9.2% strongly, agreed with that statement. So in total, about 90% actually agreed that if we as a people were to benefit from an education that gave us a higher level of self-esteem because we were learning about our history, we would have more confidence and a higher level of self-esteem as a people. And I asked, do you think there's a link between low racial confidence and mental health? Because here in the UK family, we've got a serious problem about Black mental health. It's a growing problem, and it's happening for a number of reasons, but it's also partly linked, I thought, let me see if other people think it's partly linked to having a low racial confidence and low racial self-esteem. And, I found that 62.8% of the population surveyed actually agreed that there is possibly a link, a perceived link between low racial confidence and mental health. And a further 28%, just under 30%, agreed there. So, again, almost 90% of the population believes that there is a link between low racial confidence and mental health. So we have got a work to do as a people. This is why we need to have this conversation, family, because we're the ones who are going to have to do the works. We can't expect those outside of our race to be doing the works for us. If we have family members who are going around with this feeling of unworthiness, this feeling of self-loathe and uselessness, and it's leading to mental health problems and challenges, we have got to be doing something about it. And if we're seeing and if we are realizing and recognizing, as the majority of those of us who completed this survey recognizes, that a lack of a racially affirming cultural education among us as Africans is damaging our confidence, damaging our self-esteem, having a mental health impact. Something needs to be done about it. Couple more slides. So this is a general synopsis of the survey, when we were looking at what we were taught in school, colleges and university about our Stone Age era, about Africans during the Saxon era, during the Roman times, in Ireland, in Scotland. There were many more questions I asked. I haven't put all of them in here, but basically, our knowledge of our history is almost absent from the curriculum. It's only when it comes to enslavement that they seem ready to teach, and ready to preach to us about who they perceive us to be. So from my perspective, the survey that carried out produced a very clear picture for me about the extent to which our history is being hidden from us, and the extent to which the vast majority of those of us who were schooled in the UK have not been taught hardly anything at all about our great history. A serious omission from the mainstream curriculum. How can you have a curriculum, that's supposed to talk, that claims to teach history, that just ignores all of this major chunks of African history, world history? We, the original people of Britain and the British Isles, the original people of Europe, the original people of the world, who had a vast history, before these people, came out of the Caucasus Mountains on all fours and evolved, among us, and through the rapes and everything else, humanized themselves by getting some of our melanin through the rapes. They've just eroded us from history. And where they haven't eroded us from history, what they've cleverly done is they've put themselves in our shoes and they've claimed our history. We who were the Saxons, they claimed they were the Saxons. We who were the Celts, they claimed they were the Celts. We who were the original people of Scotland and Wales, they claimed them to be the original people of England and Scotland. They're claiming, our great achievements, our great accomplishments, the buildings, the cities, the infrastructure that our people built up to the 17th century. They're claiming all of that history as their own. It's not their history. It's our history. Some of them were there alongside us, but they were alongside us as peasants and as people who were evolving and as, people who were not as human in their ways. We were having to teach them, when they kicked our people out of Spain, when the Greeks and the Romans kicked our people out of Spain, we had to come back in, in the 711 AD. And we found them in a state of darkness. It was their dark ages because, where they came in and learned at the feet of the Egyptians, and they learned all they could learn from us over the hundreds of years. And then eventually, they used their manipulative, deceptive ways, and they used, their way to have us breeding outside of our race, and they gradually took over. And eventually when they took over, because they've got a very controlling and manipulative way, they took over and basically it started enslaving the Africans. The Greeks took over as slaves of land, and then after the Greeks came the Romans, but they died out because they couldn't sustain what we had built, and they ended up in their former state, in the pits, basically, uneducated, unhygienic. They ended up in their dark ages with diseases ravaging their lands. And we came in again as the Moors, and we cleaned them up and we saved them, just like we came in after the Second World War again, and there they were in a state of depression. The country had been bombed to smithereens, and we helped to fix up and rebuild the country. And as soon as we do all this great stuff, they just want to kick us to the curb and try and teach us in our miseducation to make us believe that we hadn't contributed towards anything in history, when we have a history that spans hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of years as Africans, from the Paleolithic era to the Stone Age era to the Pottery Age, the Ice Age, the Bronze Age, the Iron Age. All the ages were ages of African civilization and African evolution and development. All those stages were stages of our greatness and our development. We went through the different ages, family, the Paleolithic ages, the Stone Ages, the Pottery Age, the Bronze Age, the Ice Age. We were building empires from Sudan to Egypt, from South Africa, in the southern region of Africa, the great kingdom of Zimbabwe, Monomatapa, all the way through West Africa, all the great kingdoms of West Africa, the Mali Empire, Songhai Empire, Timbuktu, so many of the great kingdoms that we built on the east coast of Africa as well. We were building great kingdoms and city in the region of Tanzania, etc., all the way up through to Egypt or the Egyptian Empire, right across the Mediterranean. We were building all through the Mediterranean tens of thousands of years ago. There's so much history wrapped up in all the ages that belongs to us as Africans, but they're teaching us a Eurocentric education which has totally omitted us from history. We are all those missing pages that have been torn out the history books, our accomplishments, the accomplishments of our ancestors and our forefathers, not taught to us in their school, colleges, or universities. Missing, family. Wow. And in its place, they're trying to say that we were only slaves. And when they found us in Africa, we were swinging in trees, basically in the jungle. It's absolutely ridiculous when you think about it. When you know the truth of your history and you realize the extent to which, they have switched it on us. They said we were the ones who were uncivilized. They were the ones who were uncivilized. They said we were the ones who were cannibals, but they were the ones who came out the caves as cannibals. They said we were the ones who didn't have the history. They didn't have a history. They said we didn't have a language and didn't have a culture. We had language and history and a culture that was dated for tens of thousands of years. They came out the caves grunting on all fours with no culture, no history or anything. And look at them now. You know, but if we don't know, we don't know that we don't know. This is the situation that we find ourselves in, family. Let's keep it moving. So, according to the population census, as we, touched on earlier, we're disappearing as Black Caribbean. In 2011, there were, just over 500,000 of us, so making up 1.1% of the population. That's not the case now. 2021, we've got 1.7 million people who we have mixed with. We have a mixed race population, 1.7 million. And of the mixed race population, over 500,000 of those are those that have been mixed with people from the Caribbean. Just not us, Africans are in there as well. My brothers from the continent, you're coming over and you're doing similar. There's statistics coming on that as well. So we do need to be mindful about who we cohabit with. But as you can see from what's gone past, if we've been given an education that teaches us nothing about our greatness and who we are, if we don't know the greatness of our melanin, our contribution to the world itself, what we contributed to civilization, if we have been given, an education that suggests that we're just enslaved, we're not going to want to create families like the image on top. We're going to want to create families like the image below and whiten the black out of us. Wow, wow, wow. And that's what we've been doing over the last 60 years, family. We have been reproducing with people who don't look like us. And we've created a new population. And I know many of us have got some beautiful family friends, mixed race friends, and they're wonderful people. That isn't the issue here. The issue is that us as the Caribbeans are replacing ourselves and are genociding ourselves out. And we're going to be creating a race, a new race of people, similarly to what we did in North Africa, similarly to what we did in the Middle East, similarly to what's been happening in other parts of the world. And those same groups of people are going to hate the black in them and are going to turn around and be inflicting the pain that our forefathers suffered during enslavement on our children to come, because history has a way of repeating itself if we fail to learn the lessons of the past. So see ourselves being enslaved again, family, but we're spiritual beings. We're going to be coming back, and we see one other one, and we're going to feel the pepper later down the road. If we don't fix up as a people, it's a brutal world, a dog-eat-dog world. It's the fittest of the fittest that survive. We are the fittest physically, but mentally, because of the miseducation that we are being indoctrinated with, an education that makes us hate ourselves. We are setting ourselves up for a very unimaginable future. Wow, wow, wow. So let's have a look at what the 2011 census was saying. We can see here, let's look at the Black Caribbean side, that we are an aging population. The largest group is between 45 and 49 and going up. We can see that the population below ought to be extended beyond our aging population. If we were multiplying in the numbers that we ought to have been multiplying, then the young ones of Black Caribbean origin would have been much, much greater in numbers. We would have seen a doubling in the numbers from 2011 through to 2021, which is when they did the next survey. So we are largely a middle-aged group, but the younger age groups are quite smaller than they should be, similar to the white population. And that's not, we can't rest there and say, oh, we're similar to the white population, because those of you who look at the statistics for the white population, you will see that they're actually dying out. The white population is dying out as well, but they can rest in comfort that they're getting other groups to help with their population. No one ain't going to come and help us as a people. Yeah, we are the ones who had to free ourselves from enslavement. No one didn't come and assist us. We, the revolutionaries, were the ones who had to do the work to free ourselves from our enslavement. So we need more of our people coming into the world today. We are dying faster because we're not reproducing ourselves, and but instead we're producing a new race that don't identify as Black. In a survey that I done, we touched on the fact that mental health is a major problem in the UK, especially amongst so-called Black Caribbeans, Africans who were born in the Caribbean and are here in the UK, have a very high rate of mental health. We are more likely to be detained under the Mental Health Act. We are more likely, 3.7 times more likely to be detained when compared to white people. And as a group, we are at 254 detentions per 100,000, compared to 69 per 100,000 for white people. And as Caribbean adults, we're most likely to use mental health and learning disability services. What is going on there? We never used to use those services. You would hardly see a Black person with a disability or a learning disability. When I was little going to school decades ago, I would see these school buses going by, and there would be all these white children in there with obvious, disabilities. You wouldn't see a Black child, or you might after a while start to see one. But now we're seeing buses full up with Black children with mental disabilities. What we have to remember is the works of our brother Llaila Afrika, who reminds us that our makeup is different from the Caucasian makeup. We have a different, we have different elements and different organs and not different organs, we've got melanin covering our organs. We are melanin enriched people. Thank you, Sister Shanice. We are melanin rich people. Their bodies are mainly of ammonia and what's the other one? No, not potassium. We're the ones with potassium. But their makeup is different from ours. So when they're making all their medication and the likes, and we got take it, look at what the statistics is pointing to. This is what's happening to our children. How we love juke them up too much with feed them thing. Anyway, obviously another contributory factor is living in a white society, living within the white constructs, their white laws, their white police state, their white institutions that's institutionally racist, the racism, the challenges that we as Africans or foundational Black British people, experience here takes its toll on the Black mind. Many of our children drop out of schools because they can't take it anymore. They can't take, the teaching of enslavement and Black inferiority and white inferiority. They can't take it. So they leave school. They can't block it out. They leave. Family, we need to be building the foundations for our children. We can't allow the minds of our children to continue to be abused in this way. I'm going to leave the presentation there because I have talked for some time. What's the time? You mean, sir, that's the time? Oh my days. Let me stop that presentation right now. And my apologies for going on for so long. You can tell I had a lot to say, family. But I certainly hope that you got a lot from that. Yeah, I mean, the trauma that we are experiencing as a people. Wow. I wanted to go over to the chat now, and I'm 3 minutes away from the top of the hour. Family, to those of you who have stayed with me in the chat, thank you so, so much. I can see there's 101 of you who are still watching live, and I know that there are hundreds more who are watching behind the live as well, because you're behind time. Kwame Obaji says, wonderful, Shanice. Thank you so, so much. S.A. Smith says, good presentation, just in time. Thank you so, so much. I've got so many more presentations for you. So in future, now and again, if you will allow, in between our great speakers, I'll bring you some of the research that I've been doing. Gemeli says, no, it was very interesting and insightful. Thank you so, so much. And to Kay, who's given me a donation, thank you so, so much for that. Kwedu says, Black love is everything. Thank you. He says it's essential and required for self-preservation. I love our African queens. Thank you, Kwedu. And he says the Black family unit is the basic building block for a successful Black community. So, so true, Brother Kwedu. That is so true. And, you know, if we have our strong Black men with their strong Black queen by their side, building together a strong Black family, it is the building block for a strong Black community. And strong Black communities build strong nations. And strong nations, you know, can have control over their resources and their education and their, oh, wow, come on, Black family, let's have more of that Black love. Let's bring that Black love, that Black unity, that man, that woman, and Black child family back together again. I love what Brother Kwedu says there. Black love is everything. Hey, it is essential and required for self-preservation. It really, really is. And it's wonderful to know that you love your Black queens. We love you too, our Black king. We love our Black kings out there. You know, we as African women, we stand by our men through thick and through thin. You know, we overs the challenges that you go through. But, you know, we stood by you, our men, during our darkest days of enslavement. We stood by you. And we continue to stand by you. So don't push us aside. You know, don't, you know, push us aside for those who don't look like us. Because for as long as the money's running, they're happy. For as long as you're strong and you can build them a wonderful home, they're happy. But the minute, you know, you lose your job, you're not, the money now run, things now go on for them, them gone. And then, well done now, you're coming back to the community a broken man. But we're there with our arms open to welcome you back. But please, you know, be a part of building your community. You know, don't be a part of contributing towards our own genocide. Don't be a part of, you know, not wanting to reproduce in your image. Get together, man, woman, and let's start having the big Black families that our mothers and fathers had back in the day. Brother Kwame Obaji says, African and African relationship, 100% for me. High five, my brother, 100% for me as well. He says, Shanice, I'll never deny you and the rest of our queens. Thank you so much. Thank you so, so much. Rising up all of the family. I'm already over time. My apologies. I'm going to have to time my presentations better, so that I can leave more time to bring in the contributions from you, my wonderful, wonderful audience. Kwame says we are full of melanin, and that makes us full of confidence, strength, energy, and wisdom, 100%. My brother, keep pushing out that energy. Black Magic says, be Israel. Also, then folk don't think that we feel pain. Oh, that is a presentation in itself. Henrietta Flax comes to mind, and the wickedness they used to do to us during enslavement as part of their experiments. Oh my days. There are so many wonderful, wonderful stories, though. We don't only want to focus on on that part of our history. So Tune in next, strong family. We are going to be joined by our beloved Dr. Clyde, who's bringing us another absolutely fantastic, blacktastic educational session that I know you're absolutely going to love. Because of time, I'm going to leave you now, tearing myself away. I want to thank you so much for staying with me this evening throughout the show. As I said, I traveled, so I didn't know if I'd have internet or not, so I didn't book a speaker. So I thought, let me jump on and prepare something for you. I'm so glad that you managed to get something out of it. These are the sort of conversations now we need to be having within our family. So please take the statistics from this presentation or go directly to the sources yourself. I'll post some of the sources underneath the description when I come out of Zoom and go into YouTube, family. Let's start reproducing in our own image. We are beautiful people, beautiful, beautiful people. Hey, I'm in love with our people. Rise up, family. Keep it locked. Please share, and tune in again, same time next Wednesday, 8 p.m. through to 10 p.m. UK